Blender 4.4 beta is here, which means it's feature locked, and we're going to go through the top 3 upcoming features, including changes to animations, speed improvements, and more. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you a cool new tip that I learned about making it easier to manage large scenes. But let's dive into the video. Now, this is technically several different features, but we're just going to lump all these up under performance as there's been a lot of speed boosts this update. Up first, we have a new update to the AI denoising, which actually improves denoising quality and speed, specifically on old GPU drivers. In the last update, we actually got some Vulkan support, and this time we're getting more support for those features. And what's exciting about that is how much quicker we can open projects. Now, if you've ever opened a large Blender scene, you know it can take quite a while to load. Well, check out these load times. Opening in OpenGL versus Vulkan, you can see here it's almost half or less on the opening time of your project files. Geometry nodes also saw a big performance boost, with some nodes, such as the triangulate node, seeing up to 100 times faster performance. But other nodes, such as sort element nodes, also saw a big boost in 50% speed increases as well. Exciting news, the compositor has been rewritten to be faster for renders and use less memory. It's also more performant on CPUs. It's making effects like blur, glare, color grading much more faster and memory efficient overall, and you can expect snappier previews when working in large node setups. Cycles baking has also seen an improvement. When you go to bake textures from selected to active, the baking is now way faster, which if you've ever used it before is exciting because it was pretty slow. If you're enjoying the channel and want to help support it, check out Patreon, where I give away project files, materials, and do project walkthroughs and more to try and help you improve your Blender workflow. I also have a couple products on sale and some courses as well. You can find links to all that below, but let's get back to the video. Not quite as hyped of a feature, but honestly, one of the best features to ever come to Blender is the improvement of the animation workflow as a whole. They've done 2 talks on it at the last BCons about their plans, and Smeef has a great video diving into it as well. If you didn't know, they're working towards creating better animation layers so we can easier mimic workflows like Maya or Unreal Engine, where we can easily mix animations and organize a large amount of actions on our characters and objects. Now, this is part of a bigger update, and this is only one piece, but this 4.4, we get the slotted actions. So if you didn't know, anytime you create an animation on a character, it's actually creating these action clips, which you can access in the action editor, and then you can edit them in the NLA editor. This is also how we store things like poses and more. So before, when you would animate various elements on a character, such as materials or textures or modifiers or the armature, it would create multiple actions for each of those. And then when you were trying to edit those or work with those, it became very cumbersome to try and remember what was attached to what and to edit these things in various windows all at the same time. Well, now we have slotted actions, and slotted actions are actions that can encompass all of these things at once. You can automatically assign these new actions to the slots, or you can manually assign them as well. Basically, what this means is that your animation's about to become a lot cleaner and easier to use in Blender. As we move forward into the animation update, it's going to make things like the NLA editor type mixing much easier, adding modifiers easier, and overall managing your graphs easier. So it may not be as flashy of a feature as some things we get in Blender, but this is a very exciting update that's going to improve your overall workflow if you use animation at all. Also, as part of the animation update, we are getting improvements to the pose library. If you know right now to create a pose library, you need to open the action editor, create an action here, and it's a bit clunky. Now what you can do is actually just select the pose on your character, create a pose library, and it'll automatically add it. It's got a lot less limitations, and it's a lot more convenient to use. As the last feature that we're going to highlight today, I want to show that we are actually getting a new brush in the sculpting toolkit. It's called the plane brush. Now, it's not as flashy as, say, the cloth brush, for example, but it's a very functional and useful brush. Think of it as a supercharged version of flatten, fill, and scrape brushes. Just another example of how we're getting a more full-feature toolkit every update in Blender. One challenge I had on working on large scenes in my short film was trying to select the right thing because so many things overlap in the scene, but there's actually a solution for that. So we're going to talk about that tip I mentioned in the opening of the video now. And it's not a new feature, it's just kind of hidden. If you come up to Edit, Preferences, come down to your key map, what we're going to do is look for a select shortcut. So I'm going to type in select here. And you see that it's going to bring up a lot. So I'm going to scroll down here to, let's say, my 3D view, where I see some of these select options. So I'm going to do here Alt left mouse, and you can set this whatever you want to. I'm going to twirl this down, and this is View 3D Select. So that just means selecting objects here in the 3D view. Now, on these select options under here, you will see the option to toggle on enumerate. Now, once you've toggled that on, you can close this. Then once you've had that enabled, you can come back to your scene and you can highlight over anything in pose mode, object mode. And if you hold that shortcut, so in my case, Alt Select, it will bring up a select menu of everything that is under your mouse, so you can select exactly what you want. Now, if I toggle back out into object mode here, you can see that I can do the same thing, but for all the objects that click under my mouse. It's an extraordinarily useful feature, and I hope you find it helpful.